Hello, everyone. Thank you, Rex and Michelle, for sharing your experience and journey. Very impressive, becoming from academic to now investors. And please be seated. And we're the next panel that focuses on AI and DS. And before we kick off, can we give each other a round of applause for being here on a Saturday, beautiful September Saturday afternoon. Thank you for being here, learning and connecting in our Taiwanese tech community. And really thank you for the organizer for hosting this, especially Katie and IC. I'm Nina. I currently am working at a firm as a lead. I lead the marketing analytics team. And I'm also the co-founder of Taiwanese Data Science Meetup. And on behalf of our team, and also along with our chair of Chi here, we really want to thank the organizer of inviting us to be here this afternoon. So without further ado, I'm going to kick off our first panel discussion. So today we're going to focus on AI and data science. As you can know, AI and data science has been critical components in companies to leveraging big data to extract insights and also to identify opportunities, and also integrating AI techniques in growing business as well as developing a lot of products. So today, joining me, I'm really honored to be here, and joining me on the stage, can I go to the next slide? We have Jichen Xie. He is the Chief Data Officer at Etsy, the largest in the world of platform for market maker and sellers. And we also have Qi Guan, VP of Data at TaskRabbit, the marketplace for people to find tasks, to find things, to help you do things and errands that you don't want to do on a daily basis. And we also have Qifeng CF Su. He is the VP of Machine Learning at Hyperscience. And today we're going to talk about AI, everything about AI and data science, talk about the trends, and also providing some of the advice for people who are in this area or aspiring AI DS practitioner. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the microphone to Jichen, and we're going to have everybody introduce themselves and also talk about the first question of today. What are some of the biggest trends that you've seen in your industry?
Thank you, Nina, for the intro. My name is Jichen, and Chinese in Jichen. I come from Etsy, which is perfect timing for you guys shopping for the holidays. I come from a background that in machine learning. When I was in PhD, I was study search engine, and so I was in the e-commerce area. Before joining Etsy, I was in Amazon leading their Alexa voice recognition, and I'm also sitting in the Google's advisory board for their AI development and data strategy. So kind of when I get invited today talking about the future, I think one thing which I think in the future will be huge is I call it the large or complex language modeling. And what does that mean is that I think in the past, the machine learning is mostly based on statistics. And these few years, the neural network has been developed a lot, and we see a lot of application. But what people start to see, like the keynote talking about, is it's very energy consuming when you want to train a very large scale language models. And this language model today is powering everything, like when you talk to a device to understand human language, for Tesla to understand drivings. And I think this large language model require a lot of energy to train, even just for building the foundation. So I think the future is very similar, like most of the company won't train their own model. Instead, they will download this like a pre-built embedding or model, and then on top of that, try to fine-tuning and make an application for themselves. So that's kind of my point of view.
Wow, this is great. Hey, I'm Qi. Nice to meet everyone here. As Nina intro, I'm currently the VP of Data at the TaskRabbit, and also the co-founder of the Taiwanese Data Science Meetup. Super excited to be here. The Taiwanese Data Science Meetup is founded in 2017 in the Silicon Valley. The size of the team right now, we're about 25,000 members on Facebook. So please feel free to join us. You'll be excited to see everyone there to exchange more how we level up the data science opportunity for everyone. I think I want to follow up like kind of the Michelle's keynote there. It's very, very amazing here. But really from the digital transformation, smart supply chain or smart everything here, definitely down the road 5 years of what it's going to see. In the last 15 years, we keep seeing a lot of change on the Silicon Valley, especially innovation happening in the Silicon Valley. And that's kind of the beauty of the way we all in the Silicon Valley. Being in the Silicon Valley 25 years, we see the innovation on data science, AI, moving from the B2C, moving to the B2B, almost moving to all the industry you are dealing with right now. So definitely the trend is really from the children talking about application focus there, but really it's coming down everywhere. I think as people maybe remember, data is everything. Data is new asset. Data is new oil. Same as AI or data science there. But really, a lot of people may be confused. AI really talking about deep learning something, but I think this AI really talk about application. How can you have a better application help you do a better job? How can you have an application helping save the energy? How can your application do a lot of different things which is we don't have before? Because the data is more data available, computation power is more powerful there. So that's why we can realize a lot of opportunity there. So excited in the next 30 minutes we can share with people more about what can that be down the road in the next few sessions. Yeah.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes. Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is CF Su. I'm currently the VP Machine Learning at Hyperscience. The company Hyperscience is an enterprise software as a service provider that we develop and promote machine learning-based product in the area around intelligent document processing and also the business workflow automations. Before Hyperscience, a little bit intro myself. Before Hyperscience, I have been working with different company in Silicon Valley for almost 20 years. A large company, small company, had more than 10,000 people, tech company, or very early stage, 10 people startup. So my area of expertise is around ML application, around search engine, around online digital advertisement, e-commerce, and content recommendation system. So back to Nina's question about what would be the trend I'm observing, I want to share with you my personal perspective. I think in the past 10 years, we have seen tremendous progress on ML or AI applications. And I call it a perfect storm for two factors. One is the availability of the data, right? So let me backtrack a little bit. I think the first one is the technology development. So about 10 years ago, we start seeing widely adopted neural network. For example, the CNN, convolutional neural network. Neural network is a breakthrough for image processing. And most recently, starting about 2 or 3 years ago, we start seeing this large language model that Zhu Jian just mentioned about. Is another breakthrough for text processing. So it's very exciting. And then parallel to that, we also see a huge progress on the business side. There's a long list of tech companies in Silicon Valley have seen a lot of success and make tons of money thanks to machine learning. The list include Google, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, or you name it. A lot of companies benefit from it. And why is that? Because I see it's a perfect storm because this company provides service, provide application to end user, to end customer. So some of the companies have hundreds of millions or even billions of users on it. So they have access to data. They can observe their behavior on their platform. And second to that is this company, this app, provide, they call it user engagement service. Right? So look at the search result, look at ads, look at your Facebook newsfeed. All this is powered by machine learning, and they have one objective in mind, is to optimize user engagement. And what does it mean? Well, under the hood, it just means that they optimize for click. Right? So if you are an engineer in this group, in the audience, now you have a well-formulated machine learning problem. Right? So objective function is very clear. It's a binary, click or not click. And you have tons of data you can train on. Right? So that's the reason why in the past 10 years, a lot of business benefit a lot from the machine learning. But if you start looking outside the Silicon Valley bubble, or if you look outside of this consumer social network bubble, you start seeing that in many industries, such as public sector, government, insurance company, healthcare, bank, they have been underserved by technology in general, or underserved by machine learning in particular, because of there's a mismatch in application, there's a mismatch in the availability to data. But it's changing. They start recognizing it now, and it's catching up now. So I would say the trend I'm observing is very important is that I think you're going to see a lot of adoption outside of more traditional tech company. And that's my view on that. I can share with you some example. I want you to think about outside of this like shiny machine learning application project, like self-driving car or robots in the Amazon warehouse. There's something called invisible robot. It's happening in the business today. It's helping adopting machine learning to help in the business solve an important problem is, I call it human readable content. How to process and understand the human readable content and make the business more productive, more efficient. And I could go into a more detail later with some application in mind. But I will stop here. I will pass it to Nina.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think that we can circle back. I think we do have a questions there. But I think that's a really great segue, as we talked about, where the trends that we've seen in the past 5-10 years. And then we talked about data being the new oil in the world, talked about the new techniques and AI, machine learning, and NLP. And then I think CF also mentioned a really critical, really important things, which is, yes, with all these trends coming up, sometimes that could be just a fancy words that people are throwing around. And some people or companies might actually don't know what is that what does DS, what does AI mean, what does ML, what does that actually entail? So I'm curious to hear from your experience, what has been some of the biggest challenge or surprises that you've seen in company or in your career or elsewhere that you've seen in adopting DS or AI? Who wants to go first?
I could go first. So as I said earlier, my company, we develop a machine learning solution and try to sell to enterprise, to business, right? So it's in our business to sell a product to them. And we heard a lot of feedback all the time about why they couldn't adopt it, right? And I could summarize into maybe a few categories. And usually the first one is about talent, right? So the feedback from my customer, they always say they don't have the right person with the right skill set, or they couldn't hire the right people to kick off a machine learning project or to supervise the execution of machine learning project. So usually that's a top reason. And the second reason I heard is about lack of data or data quality issues. Data is everywhere in a company, in business, but they are not necessarily in the right place, in the right format. They require cleaning, they require transformation, and sometimes it becomes an impedance to adopt AI. And the third reason is about try to find the right use case for AI. AI is very unique. It's not always, well, AI is a buzzword now, right? Everyone wants to jump on the bandwagon, but doesn't mean that you have the right use case in your company to adopt AI. You have to find the right one. And the fourth reason I keep hearing from the prospect or the customer is about their mindset. The company culture or the company organization structure is not ready to recognize the value or requirement for AI yet. So that's the typical kind of obstacle I observed based on the feedback from my customer.
Yeah, I can try something here. I think coming to two group of area there. One is coming from the hype. So excited about the AI, so excited about data science. Definitely thank you for all the venture support there, right? Create a lot of idea about how can AI data science help in everyone's job or everybody's life there. But the point here, a lot of people have a lot of misunderstanding there. They spend a lot of money, spend IT spending, cloud solution. Then I see the AI impact right away. After $1 million spending, they will come to me and say, gee, how come I don't see any value of data there? So I think this is a hype there. People really too promising how to leverage data science or AI, and even they don't really get a domain expert, try to help understand what's their problem, try to solve. I think that is very, very important as a challenging how is deep people to adopt into data science and AI. The different part, the second one is on the other side, is fair. A lot of people actually against data science AI. I have people working in the consulting area or the accounting area or a little bit the customer service area or even marketing area. They are really open-minded to accept or take our advice and say, hey, I can help you to do a better job. I can empower your daily job into a more meaningful way. But they worry. They worry I will take over their job to run the things for them. Then they will lose the job. So you can see there's two things here. One is from top. really the leader of the company really keep thinking about how can I get AI for my company and how can we leverage AI be more innovation as a company to transform down the road. But there's the other side of the population is people worry about I'm losing the job. If I don't learn something, I will get figure out in the down the road all the industry innovation here. So I think this is the top two things I see is kind of the challenge in all the company I'm seeing and even all the talent people I'm talking to. But I think the bottom line is kind of how can we embrace AI. I think that would be very important. I think if we have a more open-minded there because AI is just help you do a better job. Actually, it's still helping you. So it means you is still the key folks who will get the benefit there. So if we could, from that perspective, definitely will be more AI data science in a better way for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. What about Ju-Chen? Do you have any thoughts there?
I think I'll probably give an example, like both for people who, like, if you're an engineer and also for executive, like who run the company. The first thing is that most people who run company today, they come from product, finance, business, or traditional engineering kind of background. So AI to some of executive are actually something very new. So what I think the first challenge I'm facing is that a lot of people see AI machine learning like the rainbow sprinkles you put on ice cream. So they will build a product and say, come to me and Chu-Chen, let's do AI. I say, you already built a product. How can I do AI on top of that? Because they say, yeah, make AI, make more profit. I mean, this is, of course, sometimes like too late to start thinking. So I think the current way or the current trend in Silicon Valley is, in traditional, we talk about product design and engineering. And today we even say there should be a fourth leg, which is machine learning, even in early stage when you design a solution. So I think this is what I see on the top, on the executive, that they start to embrace this kind of mindset. But when we talk about startup or engineer, I think the problem is exactly the reverse. They build a lot of cool solution without knowing what problem they want to solve. So they bring very cool technology. But eventually it's more about you building something that you don't know where is your customer. So that's why I say eventually the right is to find a compromise, not come from solution, but kind of start with the problem and just see machine learning AI as a new way of doing software. Because under the hood, it's just using data to generate business logic. In the old day, we write the code. Today, we write the code to read the data to generate the code. So that's how I see the biggest challenge.
Yeah, I think that actually echoes what CF mentioned earlier, which is finding the right use cases and then coming up with the right technology first. Because a lot of time we all work with product people and technology people that a lot of times just want to build really cool technology, but not necessarily knowing who is the person who's going to use it, what is the team. And then when we talk about people, it also resonates back to what Chi mentioned before is fear or people like helping people understand how to adopt these technology, what exactly is the use cases and how can that benefit your partners, your stakeholders to really use that. I think this is definitely a challenge that we see a lot. So myself sometimes also tell my team or upcoming talents that sometimes it's not about the technology that you need to understand. You don't have to be like you can't just be a strong IC, but you also need to understand people because you're actually selling them to adopt and use the technology that you're building for them. Great discussions. And then I think that goes to segue into the next questions is that, so we talked about some of the challenges that we've seen. What do you see, and then those challenges are usually stem from people not understanding what's the value of data. AI, ML, these buzzwords. So what do you think are actually the value of data science, of AI, of machine learning, and what do you recommend companies or organizations to work on to close the gaps?
I can start. Really coming to, especially on data science area or AI area, really want to see from the folks just mentioned we solve from the problem. And in solving the problem, definitely you will see the impact there, right? So these are three different area impact in general we are talking about. One is the metric mover impact. What's the metric mover impact? Helping the company making more revenue, reduce the cost, right? That's really on the metric mover. Or helping the company earn more market share or improve the speed, go to market. The third area is improve the company-wide overall risk, fraud risk, account takeover risk, or even the people churn risk. This is all the high level about much mover. But also there's other way can help in the company is listen to the customer feedback, right? Listen to customer chain point there and build a better product, really from the prospect perspective. The third area is that kind of a lot of, especially in Silicon Valley, always like to build an innovation product. Apple doing great. Always, every time when you open your box of the gift, the iPhone or new release there, you're, wow, this is cool, right? That is really data science and AI can help your product become more competitive, help your product be innovation, helping as an assistant there. I think that would be the street of the area. Actually, I every time advise a lot of companies looking now want to understand the impact we are delivering. Yeah.
I think the best value for AI is to trying to make something impossible in the past possible in the futures. I think, especially in America, all of you today here, a lot of people in Silicon Valley, you know that the human labor is getting more and more expensive, right? And if you try to reach out to, support lines, waiting time is so long. And I think the real value is to thinking about how can we actually remove all these things no human want to do, and then kind of letting the machine and AI to do the job so people can focus on those things really creative, interesting, and fun.
Okay, I want to echo Ju Chen's example about like try to help the people, help human beings be more productive. I mentioned earlier like some of the trend I observe is this so-called invisible robot, because we have lots of human readable content is a communication medium between human to human, communication medium between customer to business, or even within business. For example, you might call up or send an email to a customer, to Amazon, you complain about certain product, or you apply for a mortgage, apply for a loan. There are tons of documents flying around, and right now they're all being processed by human beings. And actually, they can benefit a lot from AI and machine learning. Let me quote you 3 examples. I hope that will resonate with you. The first one is some of you probably in this audience applied for passport or renewal recently or in the middle of pandemic. Before the pandemic, the average processing time is about 4 weeks. But in the middle of pandemic, the processing time is 4 months. Because now all of a sudden, the whole world is opened up, right? Everyone wants to get a passport so they can travel back to Taiwan, travel to Europe. But they just couldn't hire enough people to process the application. And that application is actually processed by human right now. Another example is IRS. You probably see some of the picture of the cafeteria in the IRS building. And in that picture, the cafeteria is fully occupied by tons of boxes, right? Inside the boxes, all the tax return need to be processed by human being. And IRS say they will plan to hire 10,000 people this year, extra 10,000 people to process the ballot for year 2022. And another example, I think most of us are Taiwanese, and maybe some of you have a connection to Taiwan. So let me quote you a specific example in Taiwan. Last year in 2021, there's an insurance company in Taiwan. I don't know its English name. It's Taiwan 产物保险. This company is very creative. They issued a very innovative COVID insurance. And you read the news, right? So it became so popular, it's an overnight success, right? So over 7 days, just a week, they received roughly 4 million applications, right? So Taiwan is only roughly 20 million population, right? So it's 1 in 5 people went out to buy their insurance. And of course, they cannot process it, right? They could not even count how many applications they received. So they end up hiring lots of interns, like they call it 工读生, and they go out buy computers. No one's going to help because they have to process it. And this is where machine learning and AI can jump in to help. They end up adopting AI to help them processing this application. So this application is really the key, as Chu Chen mentions. And I think that's very important, to recognize and find the right use case. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for sharing those examples. And we talked about some of the values, such as making company more efficient or driving more efficiency. and also talked about the match mover impact and how to scale companies' impact and drive growth and business really profitability faster, as well as making impossible things possible. So we talked about those values. What would you recommend, even from individual or the way to government or even company? What are some aspects they can do to help close the gap so they can achieve those goals, the values, really develop on the values that data science, machine learning can help organizations to develop?
Okay, I will start this time. So I think when it comes to the mindset about machine learning, I want to kind of use an example, using the software as an example. Right? So software automate a lot of tasks, and the software engineer, they automate those tasks that can be written or described by explicit business rule, business logic, or algorithm. Right? So if you can write down the rule, write down the description, if X, then Y, then engineer can write it out as a software. So that's what happened before AI. Right? And we, as a society, we get a huge productivity boost because of software. Now, after AI, the software starts to automate the task that cannot be described easily as an explicit rule. For example, you do image recognition, you want to detect this is a cat or dog. How can you describe a dog? Like, can you write down a paragraph to describe a dog? Oh, there's a furry, there's long ears. It's not going to help you. So instead, what we do is that we don't write down the rule anymore. We feed them example. We give a lot of training data. Right? We tell them this is a picture of a dog, this is a picture of a cat. And over, the system, the model will learn. The machine learning model is not magic. It's just a condensed data structure with lots of parameters in it. And then once you feed in the example, the parameter inside the condensed data structure will start learning and start settling down, and then recognize the pattern. So that's the first important thing to remember when you adopt machine learning is that you want to identify a right use case. If the use case can be easily described by business rule, business logic, or algorithm, you don't need the AI. You hire an engineer and write down, implement it. But there will be lots of use cases that is difficult to describe with the explicit rule. Then AI will be a good match for that. The second thing to consider is data. You need data to train the model, right? So if you don't have access to high quality data, that should be your first priority. Don't go out and just hire a machine learning engineer right away. Try to fix the data problem first. And I will pass it to Ji.
I think always start with a problem, right? Like Michelle talking about in the keynote, look at so many innovation going on, but really come with the starting the point, the problem we try to solve. A lot of companies actually, they skip the problem, but they jump into the solution. They hire a machine learning engineer before they have the data available, right? And then ask a machine learning engineer to figure out where's the data. I think there's a lot of sequences of the problem there for sure, but my advice is always start with the problem. And the problem, as I said, it can be the efficiency, right? How you cross the chasm, help the company to transform to the next level. Used to be only can process 1,000 applications, now can process by the 50,000 application or 1 million application. And that's really the skill set and the opportunity we come into here. The second thing I want to echo is the data is really everything. When we talk about the data science, the AI component there is really about the digital transformation. It's based on the layer of the data. A lot of people actually, when we talk about data science, AI, they don't really focus on the or attention or investment needed on the data piece there. I think the bottom line, that is not the right way. It's very interesting when they come into the software development development cycle there. They always treat, because this is a rigorous process there. Look at the software development in the almost the last 30, 40 years already. So it has been standardized away. Data science AI is really the new industry here. So there's no really standardized way how you process, how you approach the problem. And that's why we have so challenging. A lot of people from outside see for us, like, oh, you guys are amazing. You guys are very good. But really, we form our practice in a sequence way, how we solve the problem. I think that is very important. Start with your business problem, start your data, and start your approach to go from there. And another thing I want to highlight is start simple. A lot of people jump into the complicated solution right away without understand the fundamental simple model. I think that would be another advice. Start with simple model, and then you see the ROI, and you keep iterate to see the more value there. And that's kind of the way you see a lot of Silicon Valley, how they be successful from the MVP, phase 1, phase 2, and the full launch process there. I think that could be the great journey, like kind of how you see build a better and application on the data science and AI area.
I think the bad thing of going the less is that basically they cover all the solutions. So I can just talk to something else.
Yeah.
I think I would like to say, one thing people probably thinking this way: software is roughly for people who are, if you are above 40s, you probably see software actually developed for about 25 to 30 years. So today we have Linux, we have version control. We know how to do software to some extent. We still figure out a better way to do software. But data and AI, I would say probably 5 years. So it's still like just a toddler. It's still in very early stage. There are so many issues today. I run into a few friends doing stuff today, and I'll give you some example. There is no easy way to do data versioning. How you do data labeling? There are tons of obstacles or actually opportunities. No matter you are venture capital investing in the area or you are a student, just go to this space. The good news is that there are tons of struggling you are going to face, and all of them are opportunity. I mean, probably it's very hard to create another Linux today because there's already Linux, right? It's very hard to start another Google today because there's already the search engine. But I think in AI space, there are still so many, I would say, like a gray area that are waiting for you to explore. I'm actually very excited about the next 10 to 15 years. I'm pretty sure that we will see so many startups and new application or new way of doing data and AI. And that's what I feel like every year, like I feel there's a new application, new way of doing things. So I think the best way or to add value is to just pay attention to understand the future and then actually see these obstacles as opportunity to improve.
So you talked about seeing next opportunities, and then because there's so many different current obstacles, but in the future could be opportunity. And you talk about data processing, data labeling, assuming that's one of the kind of next trends that you're excited about. Anything else that also makes you excited about, or that you want to advise people here today to focus on the next decade in terms of AI, DS applications, a new coming up technology, or any of the other sectors? What are you excited for? What do you think is going to be the next opportunities?
I think whatever you feel the most pain point, that's the opportunity, right? I think the healthcare in here is, I think there are lots of room you can improve the building and everything. And also we rely on doctor to diagnose this like a kind of disease, but theoretically, like machine or AI can read tons of thousands of documents simultaneously. But I think on top of that, the people start seeing there are actually two trends I would say in the future will become very, very critical. One is like the problem with AI is that they learn the general trend, right? So take Etsy, for example. We have 90% people coming to Etsy are female, and 79% of our sellers are like female, right? So the problem is that if you create a machine learning model, you're actually learning a female shopping pattern, and this is not going to help the male shopper, right? So I think the same bias appears everywhere.
But female, us, we're buying for the male shoppers.
We want both everyone. That's probably true. But I think the point here is that it's really dependent on your objective function. If your goal is to, like for me to shop in a website, is to attract me, then you probably need to find someone like me to build a model. So I think this kind of fairness, like or figure out a way to building a model that is personalized to each segment of user. I think all those are tons of opportunity. And also like people are starting to, just like we're talking about the female founder is the minority at the first talk, we're also thinking about, there are a lot of underrepresented group like who using website. And I think if you train model blindly and without thinking of them, then the model will just ignore them. This is just most AI model are created is learning the general trend. So how you find the right balance, right? How you using the right features and how you design all these solutions. I don't have a perfect solution, but I would say these are all the trends in the future to create a fairness AI and for everyone.
Thank you. G, anything you want to add?
Yeah, so I think this is when we look at the last 3 years, a lot of people like kind of worry about, hey, it's a pandemic, but I'm always a positive thinking. Look at the last 3 years, how did he bring the changes to our life? And suddenly in Taiwan, the payment process suddenly work out. So I've been to Taiwan almost every year. Always I need to bring the cash with me. And they say, why you need to payment online? Yeah, we pay so convenient with the cash. Now in the night market, you don't need to bring cash anymore, right? But this is really innovation come to life. I think that is a great opportunity when we see how we open up the opportunity, let people see digital transformation, how everyone can do a better job. And this is exactly example there. How can you embrace the AI data science to provide you the opportunity to make your life easier? That's one way. As my company is a TaskRabbit, we're really helping you not worry about the handyman, cleaning, or the snow removal, work. I think that's also come with the transformation here. Like, and how can we able to help you to find the best tasker, help you do the handyman work? But in the meantime, when we stay at home so long, I think we need to install a lot of smart, like Ring, Lean, or like TV mounting. I think that's all the technology coming here as well. So I strongly believe, I think the opportunity really is see about, first one, everybody believe this is coming. And in the old day, in the last few years, it's hard to ask people to believe that one because everybody I want to see it first. And because we are not innovator like a lot of famous guys, and that's why we always very bad on the belief. Today, I think most people start believing digital transformation, they definitely is obvious, it's a fact. It's not a trend anymore, or it's a hype. So that's why we can see more innovation coming to the data science AI. And I strongly believe you will see more and more, almost every industry on your everyday you are seeing, you are interacting, even you are driving, you will come into naturally more happening for sure. Yeah.
Priscilla, anything to add?
Yeah, I like to just add on a little bit on a particular technology I'm very excited about. And I think Jushan mentioned it in passing earlier. This is a so-called large language model, LLM. You can Google it. So as I mentioned earlier, machine learning model is just a condensed data structure with tons of parameters in it, lots of numbers in it. And this large language model is so large, it has more than 100 billion, with a B, capital B, 100 billion parameters in it. It takes tens of thousands of machines and train for multiple months. Right? I read a report just for the electricity alone running for the training, it costs more than $1 million to train a model electricity. So it's so large, but it's also so powerful. It's going to lead to a breakthrough in the way we process text and even the image today. So you probably heard some news like 1 or 2 months ago, a Google engineer played with this language model so much, he got confused. He felt like the machine have a sentient, they have an emotion now. And he complained to Google, and Google doesn't believe in it. Right? And then he complained to, I think it's the mainstream journal, newspaper. Right? Another example is just 2 weeks ago, there's an art or painting competition somewhere in US, and the winner, actually they used the AI platform to generate the picture, the painting. So it got to a lot of debate about what's the definition of art going forward. Right? So that's what I mentioned earlier. A lot of communication, this human readable data or content is going to change in a major way. So we already use conversational AI when you call a bank or when you use the night chat to communicate with the business. On the other side of the chat might not be a real human being, it might be a machine now, right? And also, you can see some example, you type in a paragraph, a sentence, you describe a thing. I'm in a conference with 1,000 people, and they can generate a picture automatically for you, or even generate a video for you. So it's going to change how we communicate between human beings, how we communicate between customer and the business, or even we inside the business. So I'm very excited about this particular technology that can empower and open up tons of new applications.
Thank you. And so far we talked about the value of DS and AI. We talked about the upcoming trends. It's everything very positive. what about, I want to throw some kind of spicy questions to you. What about some kind of unpopular opinions that you have towards DS and AI applications? What do you think that's actually like hype and you don't really think it's promising? Or what are some of your personal opinions that you can share with our teams, our audience today? Anyone? Too spicy?
Because we are in Silicon Valley, right? So people kicking about, oh, tomorrow should you pay the 15,000 grand for the auto driving feature? Nah. I say, dude, I should pay 5,000 a few years back now. Every other quarter keep increase the price. But in reality, this is really, it's little bit the hype there, right? Because the bottom line, we still need to train the car and train the machine how you be more ethical about the human versus the algorithm, right? I think the very popular conversation I was with our machine learning team before, right? You see the fire in front of you, I think you will stop your car. But the machine learning never trained, that is a fire. It just goes through, right? But that's the reality, how you keep as human in the data science AI here. Again, AI is trained by the model, trained by the data. If your data can be not comprehensive enough to cover all the cases there, my advice is you be careful when you drive a self-driving car there, right? Because when you run into the new outlier data, sorry, the model really cannot really predict what is going on there. That's kind of something I want to share. Yeah.
Okay. So I'd like to share some like unpopular thought. I offer some suggestion for assuming you are a business owner or you are in a position inside your company, you want to kick off a machine learning project or try to think about how to adopt UI to make your team more productive. Right, so I mentioned earlier, data is important. Data is the key to any machine learning project. So you want to think about data first. Over the years, I hire summer interns into my team every year. Right? And then at the end of the summer internship, I have a chat with them, and they always share with me their surprise when they are working in my team. The biggest surprise, in the school, the professor, right now, every computer science department in the US, they teach machine learning now because it's so popular, so hot. Right? And so in the courses, the professor wants to prepare students to focus on learning the theory and why certain things happen and the mathematics behind it. So they package the data nicely, in a very clean way. And so the student can focus on just learning the theory and not worry about cleaning the data. Right? And when they join the workforce, like join the company, they're quite surprised because the whole thing got flipped. The data is never clean. And the reality is that the entry barrier for machine learning is getting lower and lower every day. You can find open source library, open source model for the problem you try to solve. But you cannot find open source data for yourself, right? Because you have your own business to take care of, so you have to work on your data first. So my typical advice, if you want to build up a team, build up a staff to work on a project, you don't necessarily have to go out to hire a machine learning PhD right away. Right? Instead, you want to focus on maybe a machine learning practitioner or a software engineer with a good data sense that would get you a lot of mileage out of this. Right? My apology to the audience who have a PhD degree in the room. I have my PhD. I have PhD too, so it's not a statement based on sour grade, but that's based on my real experience.
Yeah, I love to go the last, so to some extent I can also kind of somehow steal their answer. But I think, the CF mentioned something which is I think my unpopular opinion is that most companies should never do AI, especially if you are very small, if you are a startup. And why I said that I want to be careful is that I want to talk about a very important mindset called build versus buy, right? A lot of people think about I do AI, I have to build. When I say if you're a small company, you should not do AI. I'm not saying you cannot have AI, but a lot of things are available to buy or to rent. And there's really no need to hire someone to build something from scratch. And I think that the mindset change is actually very difficult. Even like if you talk to, especially if you're an engineer, I was an engineer myself, so I know that urge, I call it not invented here symptom, is that if I don't feel that I know every, inch of the solution, I just don't feel comfortable. I love to control everything. But I think the reality, given the speed of innovation and giving the resource, I think it really careful, like if you can rent or buy, don't build, which kind of to some extent apply to almost company below 100 people. Like investing in AI and machine learning is way more expensive than you thought.
All right, well, thank you for those spicy answers as well. We're almost time, and then we're actually going to turn into a Q&A session. We actually have polled and surveyed our Taiwanese data science community for a few questions I'm going to ask you. And if next time you want to ask your questions, don't forget to join our Taiwanese Data Science Meetup. You can search for it on Facebook group. So here's the first question, which actually CF has answered a little bit, which is for people who want to pursue the career in DS, machine learning, AI, what is your recommendations for them? Is it necessary to get a PhD, or is there some other route that they can take? And those people who are already in PhD or have PhD, please cover your ear.
Yeah, I always start. By the way, I also have a PhD, so I think this sounds dangerous if we don't have a PhD to answer this question. But here's the things. A mentor once told me that most people who get a PhD they want to become a professor, including myself. So, but I just changed my mind after I get my PhD. In reality, PhD is one type of credential. You can get all type of credential. There's a KDD Cup. You can write the paper. You don't need to be a PhD, right? You can join this Kaggle competition. So my point here is that it's not about PhD or not. If you are new to the field, you need to get some credential to get your first interview for people to give you some opportunity. But over years, when you build your credentials through your job output, then no one will really challenge someone who is, like I say, Jeff Ding, for example, one of the best engineers in Google. Like who will argue he don't have a PhD? Who cares, right? So it's all about credentials. So will PhD get you an interview easier for being a data science career? Probably. But it also depends on whether you have something else to replace that credential. So it's just one type of credential.
I think my answer won't be surprise everyone. I think the first day definitely is join the Taiwanese Data Science Meetup, right? So I think that's the first one you get engaged, right? You can acquire the knowledge and network from all the experts here. Coming to this one, I think I totally agree. It's about the skill set, not really about the PhD degree or not. Of course, this world still needs very strong PhD folks really focus on the top 1% of the problem, for sure. Right? I think that would be the core area if you need a PhD degree there. If that is a PhD you are thinking of, go ahead to keep doing well there. However, there's a 99 problem there. Probably you don't really need a PhD degree to really doing well. You can have the right skill set to handle the problem and grow from there. In the last few years, really do a thousand interview. I think same as Juchen and the CF for sure. A lot of people I interview with PhD background. The reason they come into the data science AI area is because I cannot find a job in my field. That's why they start changing the field. And right now, if you go to LinkedIn, if you search data scientist position, I can guarantee you can find more than 200,000 opening there. This is probably the #1 opening in the Korea here, and that's why everybody jump into here, regardless of what kind of PhD you get. Because if you have the quantitative background, this is the field for you to get a job in the United States here. I think that is really important. If you really think about PhD or you are in the student right now school, I think you can get more engaged, understand why is the job interested about you, what kind of problem you want to solve for, and be started earlier, understand how you want to get involved in the career. My advice, don't wait for graduation to understand how to looking for a job. You should start with the internship, like CF mentioned before. Get used to be our industry language. How is the skill set needed to meet the industry demand there? I think that's my advice. Yeah.
Well, Chi gave us such a great answer. I don't really have anything else to add, so I will rest my cases.
All right, thank you. Well, and then I would add, I think networking, again, coming to the summit today, again, thank you, Katie and IC, for hosting this event. It's also another way of getting in the career or continue advancing your career in this field. And I think that's actually all concluded our today's sessions. And thank you so much for everyone joining us today. And then give ourselves, our speakers, a round of applause. Thank you. And also a little PSA, I think we don't have break times between sessions, so if you need to go take a bio break and just go ahead and without, or during the sessions. And then we're gonna turn into the next hardware forums very quickly.